My dear students of class 11, I am Biplab Mukherjee, your English teacher. At first, I cordially welcome you to my virtual classes. At the beginning of our new academic year, as it is not allowed to go to school due to corona pandemic, I hope you all are fit and fine. The story today I am going to deal with is Leela's Friend by R.K.Narayan. Before diving deep into the story, we should know about the author and his writings. R.K.Narayan. His full name is Rasipuram Krishnaswamy Narayan. He is regarded as one of the most formidable authors in Indian English literature. He was born on 10th October 1906 in Madras, now Chennai. His remarkable literary creation that spanned over 60 years, Narayan penned 15 novels, 5 collection of short stories, 2 travel books, 2 volumes of essays, a volume of memoirs, and retelling of the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. In 1958, the Guide won him the Sahitya Academy Award, India's highest literary honor, and it was later made into the movie Guide. In 1989, he was made a member of the Rajya Sabha. In 2000, the government of India conferred on him the Padma Vibhushan, India's second highest civilian award. Narayan's literary style was simple, absolutely simple and unpretentious, with a natural humor in it. His outlook was clearly ironic. He used ironic humor, and there was a moral thrust in his fiction. His literary works show a perfect amalgamation or blend of Western manner and Eastern material. Actually, in his writings, we find an aesthetic satisfaction. In his stories, Narayan followed or observed the middle class and their problems. All of his memorable characters belong to the middle class. He artistically chalks out their hopes, aspiration, tension, conflict, trash and strain, joy and sorrow. As a storyteller, R.K.Narayan follows the Indian tradition of storytelling. The hallmark of his writing, I have already told, is simplicity. Besides, his works are also marked by humor and satire. The present text, Leela's Friend, is a short story which is taken from the collection of short stories compiled as Malgudi Days. Malgudi is an imaginary territory or world that R.K.Narayan has created, as Hardy created Wessex. Understood? Okay. Before going to read the story, Leela's Friend, at first we should know the characters portrayed in the story. Here, the central character is Leela. She is the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Shiv Shankar. And Leela is a little girl of 5. And who are Mr. and Mrs. Shiv Shankar? They are no doubt socially and financially well placed, but mentally narrow and selfish. But they are mentally narrow and selfish. And they care only for their own selfish gain. They care only for their own selfish gain. And they take advantage of the poor, jobless Siddha. Who is Siddha? Siddha is a mere servant and appointed for a domestic help in Leela's family. And Siddha is little older than Leela. Okay? Understood? Okay. Now let's read the text. Siddha was hanging about the gate at a moment when Mr. Shiv Shankar was standing in the front veranda of his house, brooding over the servant problem. Sir, do you want a servant? Sidda asked. Sidda asked. Actually, Mr. Shiv Shankar was in an acute problem for want of a suitable domestic servant. His sudden meeting with Sidda, who was ready to serve, was a great boon to him. Mr. Shiv Shankar was desperately in search of a servant. Okay, and when Sidda came in front of his house, and Mr. Shiv Shankar in front of his house, Mr. Shiv Shankar scrutinized him and later questioned him. Or you may say, while thinking about the servant's problem, Mr. Shiv Shankar found that a man was hanging about his gate, and the stranger named Sidda. The stranger asked whether he required any servant for working in his house. He thoroughly watched the stranger and found that he apparently looked well, tidy, and was fit for his household work, and his name was Sidda. Here, sir, do you want a servant? Sidda asked. Come in, said Mr. Shiv Shankar. As Sidda opened the gate and came in, Mr. Shiv Shankar subjected him to a scrutiny and said to himself, does not seem to be a bad sort. At any rate, the fellow looks tidy. I have already told that the stranger asked whether he required any servant for working in his house. He thoroughly watched the stranger and found that he apparently looked well, tidy, and was fit for his household work, and his name was Sidda. Understood? Look at the text where here scrutiny means inspection, and tidy means neat. Okay, now look at the text. Where were you before? He asked. Here he is, Mr. Shiv Shankar. Sidda said, in a bungalow there, and indicated a vague somewhere in the doctor's house. What is his name? I don't know, master, Sidda said. He lives near the market. Why did they send you away? Send away means discharge. Sidda said in reply to Mr. Shiv Shankar that he had been working to a doctor in a bungalow near the market. He did not know his name. the doctor had left the town. Here they left the town, Master Siddha said, giving the stock reply. Stock means conventional. Stock means conventional. Now, look at the text. Mr. Shiv Shankar was unable to make up his mind. Mr. Shiv Shankar could not decide easily. Could not decide easily. Actually, Mr. Shiv Shankar is not certain of his ability to value a servant and to appoint him thereby. Mr. Shiv Shankar was unable to make up his mind. He called his wife. She looked at Siddha and said, "He does not seem to me worse than the others we have had." Leela, their 5-year-old daughter, came out, looked at Siddha and gave a cry of joy. "Oh, father," she said, "I like him. Don't send him away. Let us keep him in our house." And that decided it. Being unable to make up his mind, Mr. Shiv Shankar called his wife and 5-year-old daughter, Leela, for further consideration. Mrs. Shiv Shankar gave her consent. Seeing Siddha, Leela cried in joy and requested her father to appoint Siddha immediately. Actually, at the Leela's request, he was appointed as a servant and was entrusted with duty of looking after Leela. Actually, Mr. Shiv Shankar could not decide easily. So, he called his wife and had her advice. And finally, when his little daughter asked for keeping Siddha with them, he agreed. Understood? Siddha was appointed as a domestic servant of the family. Now look at the text. Siddha was given 2 meals a day and 4 rupees a month, in return for which he washed clothes, tended the garden, ran errands, chopped wood, and looked after Leela. Here, errands means duties. Chopped means cut. Tended means maintain. Errands means various types of duties. And this stanza denotes that Siddha was appointed by Mr. Shiv Shankar on some simple terms and condition. His monthly salary would be 4 rupees and he would get 2 full meals daily. He would have to work various types of duties such as washing clothes, and cutting wood, carrying messages, maintaining garden, carrying messages here and there, and looking after Leela were his various types of duties. Understood? Actually, Siddha was appointed in his service by giving 2 meals a day and 4 rupees a month. And he had to wash clothes, tend the garden, run errands, chop woods, and look after Leela. Clear? Okay. Next part of the text will be discussed in the upcoming videos. Okay.